The massive doors of the Galactic Council chamber groaned open with a sound like dying stars. Ambassador Lisa Morgan stepped through the entrance, her black diplomatic uniform stark against the rainbow of alien forms that filled the enormous hall. Above her, the ceiling stretched so high it disappeared into darkness, while thousands of seats carved from crystalline rock held representatives from every corner of the galaxy. The chamber fell silent as Lisa walked down the central aisle. Her footsteps echoed like gunshots in the vast space. To her left sat the Velkari delegation, their insect-like bodies clicking with nervous energy. To her right, the gaseous forms of the Nethys floated in containment suits, their thoughts visible as swirling colors within transparent helmets. Further back, the massive stone beings known as the Corvin sat motionless, their boulder-like heads following her movement with eyes that glowed like coals. At the center of the chamber, raised on a platform that seemed to hover in mid-air, sat the Council of Seven. These were the most powerful beings in known space, each representing a different category of life that had achieved interstellar civilization. Their combined authority governed trade routes that spanned entire galactic arms, controlled military forces that could shatter planets, and made decisions that affected trillions of lives across thousands of worlds. The High Arbiter, a being of pure energy contained within a geometric framework of metal and crystal, spoke first. Its voice resonated through every translation device in the chamber, carrying undertones that made even the bravest warriors feel small. Ambassador Morgan of the species known as human, you stand before the assembled representatives of 843 civilizations. Your people have been summoned to answer for actions that threaten the stability of galactic order. Lisa looked up at the towering figure, then let her gaze sweep across the countless alien faces surrounding her. She had prepared for this moment her entire career, but nothing could have readied her for the sheer overwhelming presence of so much accumulated power and authority. These beings had ruled the galaxy for millennia before humans had even discovered fire. Honored Arbiter, Lisa replied, her voice steady, despite the crushing weight of attention focused on her. Humanity is honored by this invitation to address the Council, though I confess we were not aware that we had done anything worthy of such distinguished attention. A ripple of movement passed through the assembly. Several delegates shifted in their seats, while others made sounds that their translation devices converted into expressions of surprise or suspicion. The human was either incredibly brave or completely unaware of the gravity of her situation. The Arbiter's geometric form pulsed with different colors as it processed her response. 3 standard galactic cycles ago, your species petitioned for membership in the Galactic Council. Your application described humanity as a young civilization, barely 400 local years into space travel, seeking trade opportunities and cultural exchange. You presented yourself as peaceful, curious, and eager to learn from more advanced species. Lisa nodded. That description remains accurate, Honored Arbiter. Does it? The voice that interrupted came from the military section of the chamber. General Thax of the Korthani Empire rose from his seat, his forearms spreading wide to emphasize his words. The Korthani were known throughout the galaxy as master tacticians who had never lost a war. Then perhaps you can explain this. A holographic projection materialized above the chamber, showing a small object that rotated slowly in the artificial light. It appeared to be a simple bronze medal, roughly circular with markings that looked like human writing around the edges. At its center was an image of a star surrounded by smaller celestial bodies. Lisa studied the projection with genuine curiosity. It appears to be one of our military commendation medals, General, though I am not familiar with that particular design. This medal was intercepted by Galactic Postal Services 6 days ago, General Thax continued, his voice carrying the authority of someone accustomed to commanding armies. It was addressed to something called an unknown cadet at coordinates within your home system. When our scientists examined it, they discovered something impossible. The projection zoomed in, showing detailed molecular scans of the metal's composition. Spectral analysis data scrolled alongside the image, displaying readings that caused several delegates to gasp audibly. Dr. Fenn of the Altarian Science Collective, whose species had pioneered quantum physics, stood up from her seat with her tentacles trembling. The atomic structure is completely stable, Dr. Fenn announced, her voice filled with disbelief. But the elements shown in this analysis do not exist in our periodic tables. Furthermore, the quantum signature indicates that these elements were not just discovered, but actually created through means we cannot comprehend. Lisa frowned as she studied the data. The readings were indeed extraordinary, showing materials that seemed to violate several fundamental laws of physics. I am not a scientist, Doctor, but those readings do appear unusual. However, I'm not certain why this would concern the entire Galactic Council. The High Arbiter's form brightened, cycling through colors that indicated extreme agitation. Ambassador Morgan, your species described itself as technologically developing when you applied for council membership. Yet this artifact suggests capabilities that exceed our most advanced civilizations. The implications are staggering, are they? Lisa asked, tilting her head slightly. I am curious about something, if the Arbiter will permit a question. The chamber grew even quieter, if such a thing were possible. No species had ever questioned the High Arbiter during a formal hearing. The audacity was either unprecedented diplomatic skill or complete ignorance of protocol. Speak, the Arbiter commanded. Lisa gestured toward the thousands of beings surrounding her. The Korthani Empire controls over 200 star systems. The Velkari Collective has mastered biotechnology beyond imagination. The Altarian Science Collective has unlocked the secrets of quantum manipulation. The Nethys Confederation can phase between dimensions at will. She paused, looking directly at each major delegation. Combined, the civilizations represented in this chamber have existed for over 50,000 years and command resources that could reshape entire galactic regions. When she let that statement hang in the air for a moment before continuing. So I find myself wondering why 843 of the galaxy's most powerful civilizations have gathered to discuss a single piece of jewelry created by a species that has been in space for less than 4 centuries. The question hit the assembly like a physical force. Delegates began looking at each other with expressions of confusion, concern, and dawning realization. They had indeed assembled the greatest concentration of power in galactic history to address what appeared to be a simple human metal. General Thax stepped forward, his massive form bristling with military decorations earned in conflicts across the galaxy. Because, Ambassador, if your species has been deceiving us about your true capabilities, then every calculation we have made about galactic balance of power is incorrect. And if that is the case, then we need to understand exactly what humanity is capable of before it is too late. Lisa smiled, a purely human expression that somehow managed to make every being in the chamber feel deeply uncomfortable. General Thax, you raise an excellent point. The question is not what humanity might be capable of. The question is why you are also afraid to find out. The chamber erupted into chaos as hundreds of species began talking at once, their translation devices creating a cacophony of overlapping voices. But through it all, Lisa stood calmly at the center of the storm, waiting to see which direction the wind would blow. Above them all, the mysterious metal continued to rotate in its holographic display, a simple bronze star that had somehow brought the galaxy's greatest powers to their knees with fear and curiosity. The real question was what humanity would do next. 4 days before Ambassador Lisa Morgan faced the Galactic Council, Chief Inspector Kane of the Interstellar Security Division received the call that would change everything. His personal communicator buzzed with the highest priority signal possible, reserved only for threats to galactic stability. Kane materialized in the evidence vault of Station Prime, the massive space facility that served as headquarters for interstellar law enforcement. The vault itself was larger than most cities, containing artifacts and evidence from investigations spanning thousands of years across hundreds of worlds. But today all attention focused on a single small table at the center of the room. "Show me what has everyone so worried," Kane said to his assembled team of specialists. Dr. Miles Webb, the human forensic scientist who had first examined the metal, gestured toward the bronze object resting under a containment field. "Inspector, I have been studying alien artifacts for 20 years. I have seen technology from civilizations that predate our solar system. But this metal is impossible." Kane studied the simple bronze star with its central sun design. "It looks ordinary enough. What makes it special?" "Everything," Dr. Webb replied, activating the scanning equipment. "Watch this." The scanning beam hit the metal, and immediately every instrument in the room began displaying readings that defied logic. The bronze appeared to be normal copper and tin alloy, but deeper scans revealed atomic structures that should not exist, elements with impossible electron configurations, molecular bonds that violated the laws of chemistry, quantum signatures that suggested the material existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously. Lieutenant Rio Patel, a young investigator with degrees in xenotechnology, pointed to the spectral analysis displays. Inspector, according to these readings, the metal contains materials from outside our periodic table. Not just undiscovered elements, but elements that our physics says cannot exist. Kane frowned as he studied the data. Equipment malfunction? That was my first thought, Dr. Webb admitted. So I had the metal examined by the Altarian Quantum Institute, the Velkari Bioanalysis Center, and the Korthani Military Research Division. Every facility reached the same conclusion using completely different methodologies. The inspector walked around the containment field, observing the metal from every angle. It continued to look like a simple piece of human military decoration, the kind of thing any civilization might create to honor their soldiers. What about the postal records? How did this thing end up in our custody? Lieutenant Patel activated the holographic display system, showing the metal's journey through the galactic postal network. It was sent from Earth, specifically from a civilian postal facility in what humans call North America. The package was addressed to unknown Cadet, with coordinates that led to an abandoned research station on Earth's moon. Abandoned how long? According to our records, the lunar facility has been empty for 73 Earth years. No life signs, no power signatures, no active technology, just empty buildings and old equipment. Kane studied the shipping data more carefully. Who sent it? That is where things become interesting, Dr. Webb interjected, pulling up additional files. The sender is listed as Human Defense Initiative, with a return address that traces to a small apartment building on Earth. When we investigated, we found the building houses families with children. No military connections, no government affiliations, no access to advanced technology. Lieutenant Patel added more disturbing details. Inspector, the postal charges were paid with standard galactic credits, but the transaction signature shows quantum encryption that is supposedly impossible to forge. Whoever sent this package had access to security protocols that even the Council's own systems cannot duplicate. Kane felt a chill run down his spine. Are you telling me that ordinary human civilians have access to quantum encryption technology that surpasses our most advanced systems? It appears so, Dr. Webb confirmed. But that is not the most disturbing part. The doctor activated another series of scans, these focused on the metal's energy output. The artifact is not just constructed from impossible materials. It is actively generating a quantum field that extends approximately 3 meters in all directions. This field appears to be learning. Learning what? Everything. The field scans and analyzes any technology that comes near it. In the 4 days since we began studying the metal, it has completely mapped our scanning equipment, our containment systems, and even our personal communicators. It is creating detailed blueprints of our most secure technology. Kane stepped back from the containment field instinctively. Is it sending data somewhere? Lieutenant Patel checked the sensor readings. We cannot detect any transmission signals, but given what we have learned about human technology, that may not mean anything. For all we know, it could be communicating through quantum channels we cannot monitor. Dr. Webb brought up the final set of data that had prompted the Council emergency session. Inspector, there is one more thing. The metal's quantum signature is not unique. We have detected similar signatures emanating from Earth itself. Hundreds of them. The implications hit Kane like a physical blow. You are saying there are hundreds of these devices on Earth? At minimum. The signatures are too faint to get accurate counts from this distance, but our long-range sensors are detecting quantum anomalies from every major human population center. Cities, military bases, research facilities, even schools are showing energy patterns that match this metal. Kane began pacing around the containment field, his mind racing through the possibilities. How long have these signatures been present? That is the terrifying part, Dr. Webb replied. When we checked historical sensor data, we found traces of these quantum signatures going back over 200 years. The humans have had this technology since before they achieved interstellar travel. They have been hiding their true capabilities since before they even left their own solar system. Lieutenant Patel pulled up Earth's Council membership application. Inspector, look at what humanity told us about themselves. Young civilization seeking cultural exchange and trade opportunities. Peaceful species interested in learning from more advanced neighbors. Technology level, developing, with basic space travel capabilities. Kane read through the application documents with growing alarm. Every statement humanity had made about their technological capabilities appeared to be a massive deception. They lied about everything. Or, Dr. Webb said quietly, they have a very different definition of developing technology than the rest of us. The inspector studied the metal one more time, noting how innocent it looked despite the impossible readings it generated. Send all this data to the High Arbiter immediately, and prepare a full security analysis of every human vessel currently in Council space. Already done, Lieutenant Patel reported. The Council has called an emergency session. Every major civilization is sending representatives. This is being treated as a potential threat to galactic security. Kane nodded grimly. If humans have been hiding technology that exceeds our most advanced capabilities, then we need to understand their true intentions before it is too late. As he left the evidence vault, Kane could not shake the feeling that the metal had been sent deliberately, not as an accident or mistake, but as a message. The question was whether humanity was announcing their presence as friends or enemies. Above them all, the simple bronze star continued to generate its impossible quantum field, learning everything about the galaxy's law, enforcement capabilities, and quietly sending that information to destinations unknown. The galaxy was about to discover that they knew nothing about their newest members. The tension in the Galactic Council chamber reached a breaking point as Ambassador Lisa Morgan stood calmly amid the chaos her words had created. Hundreds of alien voices filled the air through translation devices, creating a storm of accusations, demands, and barely controlled panic. The greatest civilizations in the galaxy were arguing like children who had just learned their assumptions about the universe were wrong. High Arbiter's geometric form blazed, with colors that indicated extreme agitation. Its voice cut through the noise like a blade. Silence. Ambassador Morgan, you will explain your species' deception immediately, or face the consequences of lying to the Council. Lisa looked up at the towering energy being with an expression of polite confusion. Honored Arbiter, I am afraid I do not understand what deception you are referring to. Humanity has answered every question honestly during our membership application process. General Thax of the Korthani Empire stepped forward. His four massive arms spread wide in a gesture of barely restrained aggression. You told us your technology was developing. You claim to be a young species seeking guidance. Yet this metal proves you possess capabilities that exceed our most advanced civilizations. General, Lisa replied with the patience of a teacher addressing a confused student. Perhaps the problem is not with our answers, but with your questions. The statement sent another wave of agitation through the assembly. No species had ever suggested that the Galactic Council's questions were inadequate. The audacity was either brilliant diplomacy or suicidal foolishness. Dr. Fenn of the Altarian Science Collective, her tentacles writhing with nervous energy, activated her speaking platform. Ambassador, our analysis shows that your metal contains elements that do not exist in our periodic tables. The atomic structures are impossible according to every law of physics we understand. How do you explain this? Lisa studied the holographic projection of the metal rotating above the chamber. Dr. Fenn, may I ask how your species first discovered quantum mechanics? The question seemed to come from nowhere, causing Dr. Fenn to pause in confusion. Through centuries of scientific experimentation and mathematical theory. And before you understood quantum mechanics, would you have believed that particles could exist in multiple states simultaneously? Of course not. Such concepts would have seemed impossible. Lisa nodded thoughtfully. So things that seem impossible to us today might simply be concepts we have not learned to understand yet. Dr. Fenn's advanced mind immediately grasped the implication. You are suggesting that humans have developed scientific principles that we have not yet discovered? I am suggesting, Lisa replied, that different species might approach the universe in different ways. Your civilizations have spent thousands of years perfecting what exists. Humanity spent our time learning to create what does not exist yet. The chamber fell silent as the weight of her words settled over the assembly. The concept was so alien that many species struggled to comprehend it. They had built their civilizations on mastering natural laws, conquering territory, and controlling resources. The idea of a species that learned to change the laws themselves was beyond their understanding. Captain Mira Voss, representing the Independent Traders Alliance, spoke from the economic section of the chamber. Are you claiming that humans can create new elements at will? Captain Voss, your question assumes that elements are fixed properties of the universe. Lisa answered. What if they are simply one possible way of organizing matter and energy? What if there are other ways? She touched a small device on her wrist. Control, this is Ambassador Morgan. Please have Dr. James Kim demonstrate basic element creation for our guests. A new voice filled the chamber through the communication system, young and enthusiastic. Copy, Ambassador. This is Dr. Kim aboard the research vessel New Horizon. We are positioned in the outer system and ready for demonstration. General Thax immediately activated his tactical displays. There are no human vessels in this system. Our sensors would have detected any approaching ships. General, the young voice replied cheerfully. Your sensors are very good at detecting ships that want to be detected. We did not want to be detected, so we were not. Without warning, space above the council station began to shimmer. What had appeared to be empty vacuum suddenly revealed the presence of a massive human vessel. But it had not decloaked or emerged from hyperspace. It simply became visible, as if reality had decided to stop pretending it was not there. The ship was unlike anything in the galactic databases. Its hull seemed to flow like liquid metal, constantly shifting between solid, liquid, and gaseous states. Patterns of energy danced across its surface in ways that hurt to observe directly, suggesting technology that operated on principles the Council had never encountered. Dr. Kim's voice continued with the casual tone of someone performing a routine exercise. We will now demonstrate basic atomic restructuring. Please observe the asteroid at coordinates 77 Mark IV. Every sensor in the Council station turned toward the designated asteroid, a typical chunk of rock and metal about 2 kilometers in diameter. It floated peacefully in space, unchanged for millions of years. Then it began to change. The transformation was gradual at first, the asteroid's surface taking on new colors and textures. But as the process accelerated, it became clear that something impossible was happening. The rock was not being mined or refined. Its atoms were being rearranged at the fundamental level, converting base elements into configurations that should not exist. Within minutes, the asteroid had become something that glowed with internal light, its structure displaying perfect geometric patterns that created materials with properties the Council's scientists had only dreamed of. Elements with atomic numbers that exceeded their periodic tables, crystalline structures that existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously, matter that responded to thought rather than physical force. How? Dr. Fenn whispered, her advanced mind struggling to process what she had witnessed. Dr. Kim's young voice carried the excitement of someone sharing a favorite hobby. We start by recognizing that atomic structure is just one way of organizing energy. Then we convince the energy to organize itself differently. The hard part is not changing the matter. The hard part is imagining what it could become instead. Ambassador Lisa watched as 843 civilizations tried to comprehend what they had just seen. Dr. Fenn, you asked about the elements in our metal. They were not discovered. They were imagined into existence by a 12-year-old human child as part of a school science project. The revelation sent shockwaves through the assembly. If human children could casually create impossible materials as homework assignments, what were human adults capable of? High arbiters' forms cycled through colors that indicated complete bewilderment. What do you want from us? Lisa smiled, the expression somehow carrying both warmth and infinite patience. Honored Arbiter, we want to share something with you. For thousands of years, your civilizations have learned to master what exists. You have built magnificent empires, created incredible technologies, and explored vast regions of space. But you have always been limited by the assumption that the universe has fixed rules that cannot be changed. She gestured toward the transformed asteroid, still glowing with impossible light. Humanity learned something different. We learned that the universe is not a machine with fixed parts. It is more like a conversation, and conversations can change depending on what you say. The chamber remained silent as delegates struggled to understand concepts that challenged everything they believed about reality itself. The medal addressed to the unknown cadet was not sent by accident, Lisa continued. It was an invitation to learn that everything you think you know about what is possible is just the beginning. The Galactic Council chamber erupted into pandemonium as the implications of humanity's revelation crashed over the assembled delegates like a tidal wave. Representatives from hundreds of civilizations began shouting demands. accusations and questions in languages that strained the translation systems beyond their limits. Some called for immediate military action against Earth, while others begged for access to human technology that could revolutionize their worlds. Through the chaos, Ambassador Lisa Morgan stood perfectly calm at the center of the storm, watching as the galaxy's most powerful beings struggled to comprehend that their understanding of reality itself had been incomplete. High Arbiter raised its 4 arms in a gesture that commanded absolute silence. The geometric energy being's form blazed with colors that indicated severe distress. Ambassador Morgan, the Council demands a full demonstration of humanity's capabilities. We must understand the extent of what your species can do. General Thax stepped forward, his massive Korthani frame bristling with weapons and military decorations earned in wars across the galaxy. If humans possess reality-altering technology, then every strategic calculation we have made for the past century is worthless. We need to know if Earth represents a threat to galactic stability. Lisa nodded thoughtfully. General, I understand your concern. Dr. Kim, are you still monitoring our conversation? The young scientist's voice came through the communication system with cheerful enthusiasm. Yes, Ambassador. The New Horizon is standing by for whatever demonstration the Council requires. Please show them the student exercise we call reality revision, Lisa requested. Dr. Kim's excitement was audible. Oh, that is a good one. Council members, we will need to borrow some of your technology for this demonstration. Nothing will be damaged, but you might want to observe your defensive systems carefully. General Thax immediately activated his tactical displays. Our systems are not available for human experimentation. General, Dr. Kim replied with the patient tone of someone explaining something obvious, we are not asking for permission. We are being polite by warning you in advance. What happened next defied every principle of technology and security the Council understood. Without any visible intervention from the human vessel, the defensive systems on every ship in the area began to change. Not malfunction or shut down, but transform into something completely different. Admiral Quinn of the Stellar Defense Force watched in horror as her flagship's weapons arrays began reshaping themselves. The massive energy cannons that could destroy planets started flowing like liquid metal, reconfiguring into structures that resembled flowers made of crystallized starlight. The transformation was beautiful, artistic, and absolutely impossible. How are you doing this? Admiral Quinn demanded, her voice tight with professional alarm. Our systems are hardened against every known form of electronic warfare. Dr. Kim's young voice carried a note of professional pride. Admiral, electronic warfare assumes that systems can only be changed through electronic means. We are changing them by politely asking the atoms to arrange themselves differently. Your computers are not being hacked. They are being convinced to become something more interesting. Captain Rex of the Mining Guild watched as his industrial processors, designed to break down asteroids into component materials, began producing things that had never existed before. Complex geometric shapes that sang with harmonic frequencies, metals that changed color based on the observer's emotional state, crystalline structures that seemed to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. This is impossible, Captain Rex whispered. Matter does not work this way. Captain, Lisa interjected gently. Matter works however it is convinced to work. Your civilizations have spent thousands of years learning to force matter into shapes you find useful. Humanity learned to ask matter what shapes it would prefer to take. Dr. Kim continued the demonstration with the enthusiasm of a teacher showing off a favorite lesson. Council members, please observe the space between your vessels. The vacuum between the ships began to shimmer and glow. Then impossibly structures began to form in the emptiness, not built from materials or projected as holograms, but created directly from the quantum foam that underlies all existence. Bridges of crystallized space connected the ships, allowing delegates to literally walk between vessels through areas that had been empty vacuum moments before. Dr. Fenn of the Altarian Science Collective, her tentacles trembling with shock, attempted to scan the impossible structures. These formations show mass and density readings, but they are composed of organized space-time rather than conventional matter. How is this possible? Dr. Fenn, Dr. Kim replied. Your question assumes that matter and space are different things. What if they are just different expressions of the same underlying reality? What if the difference between something and nothing is just a matter of perspective? The young scientist's casual tone while describing concepts that shattered fundamental physics was almost more disturbing than the demonstration itself. The Council was witnessing technology so advanced that it treated the laws of the universe as mere suggestions. Lieutenant Commander Sam Torres, Dr. Kim's colleague aboard the New Horizon, joined the conversation. Council members, we should mention that everything you are seeing represents basic exercises from our elementary education system. Human children learn these principles before they are old enough to attend university. The statement sent waves of shock through the assembly. If human children were casually manipulating reality as part of their homework, what were human adults capable of? Commander Torres continued with the matter-of-fact tone of someone discussing routine procedures. The reality revision techniques you are observing are taught to every human child by age 12. By the time they reach university, they are learning to create pocket universes for their science fair projects. High Arbiter's geometric form flickered through color patterns that indicated complete system overload. What are the limits of these abilities? Dr. Kim's voice carried a note of genuine confusion. Limits? I am not sure I understand the question, Honored Arbiter. Limits are restrictions that exist because we believe they exist. If we stop believing in them, they stop being real. Ambassador Lisa watched as the most powerful beings in the galaxy struggled to comprehend a civilization that had learned to edit reality like a text document. Council members, I believe you are beginning to understand why 43 civilizations requested this emergency session to discuss a simple metal. She gestured toward the holographic projection that still rotated above the chamber. That metal was not created using advanced technology. It was created by a human child who imagined new elements into existence and then convinced the universe to make them real. The fact that your scientists found it impossible is not a flaw in the metal. It is a limitation in your understanding of what is possible. General Thax, his tactical mind finally grasping the implications, spoke in a voice barely above a whisper. If humans can alter reality at will, then every weapon we possess, every defense we have built, every strategy we have developed is meaningless. Lisa nodded sadly. General, now you understand why we have been so careful about revealing our capabilities. Not because we wish to deceive you, but because we hope to find a way to share this knowledge without causing the panic we are witnessing now. Above them all, the impossible bridges of crystallized space continued to connect ships that should have been separated by vacuum, while weapons designed to destroy planets displayed their new existence as living works of art that defied everything the galaxy thought it knew about the nature of reality itself. The Galactic Council chamber remained suspended in stunned silence as delegates from 843 civilizations tried to process what they had witnessed. Around them, impossible bridges of crystallized space connected their vessels while their weapons had been transformed into living art that sang with harmonies from dimensions beyond normal perception. The demonstration of human capabilities had shattered every assumption they held about the nature of reality. Itself, High Arbiter's geometric form cycled through color patterns that indicated complete philosophical crisis. Its voice, when it finally spoke, carried undertones of fear that resonated through every translation device in the chamber. Ambassador Morgan, the Council requires immediate clarification. If humanity possesses the ability to alter fundamental reality, what are your species' true intentions regarding galactic civilization? Lisa Morgan looked up at the towering energy being, then let her gaze sweep across the thousands of alien faces surrounding her. These were beings who had conquered star systems, built empires that spanned galactic arms, and commanded technologies that could reshape entire worlds. Yet here they sat, terrified by the implications of a simple bronze medal created by a human child. Honored Arbiter, Lisa replied, her voice carrying the gentle patience of someone addressing frightened children. Before I answer that question, I would like to share something with the Council. Dr. Kim, please show them the real reason we give medals to unknown cadets. Dr. Kim's young voice filled the chamber with barely contained excitement. Ambassador, are you sure? The Council members seem pretty overwhelmed already. They need to understand, Lisa said firmly. Show them Project Infinite Garden. The space above the Council chamber began to shimmer once again, but this time the transformation was different. Instead of demonstrating raw power or impossible technology, something beautiful began to take shape. Stars appeared where none had existed before. Not hot balls of fusion plasma, but gentle lights that pulsed with life and consciousness. Around these new stars, worlds began to form, not from accumulated cosmic dust, but from pure possibility given substance and meaning. Dr. Kim's voice provided commentary as the miracle unfolded above them. Council members, what you are seeing is the graduation project of a 16-year-old human student named Alex Chen. Alex was asked to demonstrate practical applications of reality revision techniques. So Alex decided to create a pocket universe where different forms of consciousness could evolve and develop without the limitations of physical law. The artificial cosmos continued to expand above the chamber, showing worlds where crystalline beings grew like living music, where energy entities danced between dimensions of pure mathematics, and where entirely new forms of life emerged from concepts that had never been possible in the original universe. Each world in Alex's universe operates according to different physical laws, Dr. Kim explained. Some follow principles based on emotion rather than force. Others respond to artistic expression instead of gravity. Alex created environments where any form of consciousness, no matter how unusual, could find a way to flourish and grow. Admiral Quinn of the Stellar Defense Force stared at the display with growing comprehension and horror. You are telling us that a human child created an entire universe as a school assignment? Not just created, Lieutenant Commander Torres interjected. Alex populated it with forms of consciousness that had never existed before, then taught them how to create their own universes in turn. Last time we checked, Alex's pocket cosmos contained over 40,000 sub-universes, each one developing in directions that surprise even Alex. The implications hit the assembly like a physical blow. If human teenagers were casually creating infinite nested realities as homework projects, then the gap between human capabilities and everyone else was not just technological, but fundamental to their nature as a species. Dr. Fenn of the Altarian Science Collective, her advanced mind struggling to process the concepts being presented, managed to voice the question that everyone was thinking. Why would you create such things? What purpose does it serve? Lisa smiled, the expression carrying warmth that somehow reached across the vast cultural and biological differences separating her from the alien delegates. Dr. Fenn, that question reveals the fundamental difference between humanity and the rest of galactic civilization. Your species ask why, and what purpose? We ask why not, and what if? She gestured toward the pocket universe still expanding above them. Alex created this cosmos not because it served a purpose, but because Alex imagined what it would be like if consciousness could take forms that had never existed before. The purpose emerged from the creation, not the other way around. General Thax, his tactical mind finally beginning to grasp the scope of what he was seeing, stepped forward. Are you telling us that humans create universes for artistic expression? Among other reasons, Lisa confirmed. We create them to explore possibilities, to provide homes for forms of consciousness that could not exist in conventional reality, to answer questions about what might be possible if the rules were different. Sometimes we create them simply because we are curious about what would happen. High Arbiter's form blazed with colors that indicated complete system overload. How many of these pocket universes exist? Dr. Kim's cheerful voice provided the answer that sent the final shock through the assembly. Oh, we stopped counting after the first million. Every human child creates at least one pocket universe during their education, and most adults maintain several as ongoing projects. The current estimate is somewhere around 40 billion active pocket cosmos created by humanity, each one containing billions of worlds with their own unique physical laws and forms of consciousness. The chamber fell into absolute silence as the weight of that revelation settled over the delegates. Humanity had not just learned to manipulate reality. They had become gardeners of infinite possibility, cultivating countless universes the way other species might tend flower gardens. The medal addressed to the unknown cadet, Lisa continued, was not sent to a specific person. It was sent to every form of consciousness in this galaxy that has not yet learned to imagine beyond the limitations they think define them. She touched her communicator once more. Dr. Kim, please show the council what we are offering. The pocket universe above them began to change, focusing on specific worlds within Alex's creation. These were not just alien landscapes, but entire civilizations of beings that had never existed in conventional reality. Crystalline entities that communicated through harmonic frequencies, Energy beings that existed as living music, geometric consciousness that thought in mathematical poetry. Every form of consciousness you see in Alex's universe was based on species from our own galaxy, Dr. Kim explained. Alex studied the biological and cultural patterns of real civilizations, then imagined what they might become if freed from the limitations of conventional physics. What you are seeing is not fantasy. It is potential. Dr. Kim's colleague continued the explanation. We are offering to teach your civilizations how to transcend the limitations you believe define you. The Korthani Empire could become something that exists across multiple dimensions simultaneously. The Altarian Science Collective could evolve into pure consciousness that experiences mathematics directly. The Velkari could become living ecosystems that span entire galaxies. Lisa looked around the chamber at the stunned faces of beings who had thought they understood the scope of what was possible. The choice is yours, council members. You can continue as you are, building empires and mastering technologies within the limitations you believe are real. Or you can join us in discovering what lies beyond the edges of everything you think you know about existence itself. She gestured once more toward the bronze medal still rotating in its holographic display. That medal was not a threat or a warning. It was an invitation to become something more than you ever imagined possible. The unknown cadet it was addressed to is every being in this galaxy who is ready to learn that reality is not a prison, but a canvas. High Arbiter's voice, when it finally came, carried a note of wonder that had not been heard in the chamber for thousands of years. What would we need to do? Lisa smiled, the expression carrying infinite patience and possibility. First, you would need to stop believing that the universe has rules that cannot be changed. After that, we can teach you to imagine what it would be like if you could become anything you dreamed of being. Above them all, Alex Chen's pocket universe continued to expand, showing infinite worlds where consciousness took forms that defied every limitation the galaxy had ever accepted as real, while a simple bronze medal waited to deliver its invitation to anyone ready to discover that everything they thought they knew about existence was just the beginning.